Hey, today is day 27 of my Read Proverbs with Me to Start 2025 series, and so that means today we are on Proverbs chapter 27. And if you don't know, this is a 31-day series I'm doing in January, where I'm inviting you to join me as I read through Proverbs, reading one chapter a day and posting a video each day sharing what I like and what stood out to me about that chapter. So if you haven't joined me and you'd like to join me just for these last few chapters of Proverbs, or even just for today with chapter 27, or even if you want to start Proverbs from day 1 from chapter 1, you could do that too. That would be awesome. But I would love for you to join me. Today is day 27, so here's what I liked and what stood out to me about chapter 27. What stood out to me today were two verses about receiving praise. The first of the two is verse 2 that says, "Let someone else praise you and not your own mouth, an outsider and not your own lips." The second verse is verse 21 that says, "The crucible for silver and the furnace for gold, but people are tested by their praise." And these verses stood out as very important to me today when reading, and they also brought someone to mind for me. And that person is Tim Tebow. When I was younger, I read a book by Tim Tebow, and in that book, he told a story about how whenever him and his brothers were young, they made a rule where when it came to playing sports, they were not allowed to brag or boast about themselves, but they decided to actually brag and boast about each other instead. And so I thought that was cool, and that is a picture of living out verse 2 that says, "Let someone else praise you and not your own mouth, an outsider and not your own lips." Tim Tebow is also a great example of what it looks like to withstand the test of receiving other people's praise and not being changed by it. Tim is one of the greatest college football players of all time. He won 2 national championships and he won a Heisman Trophy. Obviously, with those accolades comes a lot of praise, and he definitely had opportunity to change and to become arrogant. But instead, he always gave God all the glory, never boasting about himself, never wavering in his faith, but handling praise with character and humility. So I admire the fact that Tim Tebow's character was not changed or corrupted by praise. As another version puts verse 21, "Fire tests the purity of silver and gold, but a person is tested by being praised." So I think Tim Tebow is a great example of what it looks like to live out these verses, to stand the test of praise and to still keep your character and humility and faith in God even with it. And so that inspires me today. And these two verses, verse 2 and 21, are what stood out to me today and what I liked about chapter 27. If you've joined me reading Proverbs and you're at chapter 27 today, I'd love to know what you liked about it, what your favorite verse or verses are. You can let me know in the comments. And if you haven't joined me in this and you want to join me for the rest of January, I'd love for you to follow along if you want to do that. Or if you want to start from day 1, start from the beginning. It doesn't just have to be in January. You can read Proverbs at any time. It doesn't have to be January. And if you want to go through my videos, I have the rest of them on my page. So I'd love for you to do that if you want to. I've enjoyed this series so much. Only a few days left. I can't wait. I'll see you tomorrow for chapter 28.